Hello there, and welcome to Empowered Senior Living. You know, Serena, it's funny how life changes, isn't it? One day you're juggling so many things, and then, as the years roll on, things can sometimes quiet down a bit.
It really can, Daniel. The house might not be as bustling as it once was. Maybe the children are grown with their own busy lives, or we've retired.
Exactly. And sometimes, especially if you're past that 70 milestone, you might find yourself in a moment, perhaps in the evening or on a quiet Sunday afternoon, and a little feeling of, well, loneliness can creep in. It's a feeling that can catch you by surprise, can't it? Even if you've always enjoyed your own company.
Oh, I think many of our viewers can relate to that. That quiet can sometimes feel a bit too loud, a bit too empty, as you say.
If that sounds familiar, even a little bit, I want you to know you're absolutely not alone in feeling that way. It's a common experience, more common than many people talk about. And loneliness can take a toll, not just on our spirits, but on our overall well-being, our energy, even our physical health.
That's such an important point, Daniel. And it's worth remembering, isn't it, that if those feelings of loneliness are deeply impacting your well-being or your health, it's always a good idea to have a chat with your doctor about it.
Absolutely, Serena. That's crucial advice. Your doctor is always your first port of call for any health concerns. But the good news here is that feeling lonely isn't a life sentence. It's not something you just have to put up with as you get older. Far from it. Connection, on the other hand, is like sunshine for the soul. It lifts us up, gives us purpose, and keeps us feeling vibrant.
That's a lovely way to put it. So, what are we exploring today to help with that?
Well, today we're going to talk about just that. We're going to explore 5 really powerful, yet wonderfully simple habits that can help you build and strengthen those vital connections, especially if you're navigating life after 70. These are practical, doable steps. Think of them as tools you can put in your pocket. Ready to dive in?
I am. That sounds wonderfully empowering. Where do we start?
Great. Let's start with the first habit. And it's one that often gets overlooked because it seems so obvious. But how we approach it can make all the difference. This first habit is all about proactively nurturing your existing connections.
Proactively, Daniel. What do you mean by that exactly? I think many of us feel we have family and old friends.
That's a great question, Serena. It's not just about having those people in your life. It's about actively, intentionally reaching out and tending to those relationships like you would a cherished garden. You see, as life gets busy for everyone, it's easy for contact to become less frequent. We might fall into the pattern of waiting for the phone to ring.
I can see how that happens. We don't want to impose, or we assume others are too busy.
Precisely. But what if we decided to be the ones to initiate? Think about someone you haven't spoken to in a little while. Don't just wonder how they're doing. Pick up the phone. A simple call, just to say, "Hello, I was thinking of you," can mean the world.
It doesn't have to be a long conversation, does it? Just a quick check-in.
Not at all. Sometimes a quick, cheerful, "How are things?" is all it takes. And it's not just about phone calls. How about sending a handwritten note or a card? In this age of emails and text messages, getting something personal in the mail feels extra special. I knew a lady, Mary, who made it a point to send birthday cards to everyone she knew. People loved it. They felt remembered.
Oh, a handwritten note truly is a treasure these days. It shows such care. And what about people who live nearby?
Excellent point. If you have family or friends in the same town, don't wait for a special occasion. Could you invite a neighbor over for a cup of tea? Or suggest a casual lunch with a sibling? Sometimes we hesitate, thinking, "Oh, they're probably too busy." But you'd be surprised how often people are delighted to be asked. My own father, after he retired, started a weekly coffee morning with a couple of his old work buddies. It became an anchor in their week.
That's a wonderful example of how a little effort can create something really meaningful.
It truly is. And think about the quality of these interactions too. When you do connect, really try to be present. Ask open-ended questions, not just, "How are you?" Try something like, "What's been the best part of your week?" And then really listen. Share a bit about your own life too. It's this give and take that deepens bonds.
That makes so much sense. It's about genuine sharing, making people feel seen and heard.
Exactly. It's not about keeping score. It's about fostering a regular rhythm of connection. It's a powerful, heartwarming way to start.
That's a fantastic first habit, Daniel. Focusing on the connections we already have. What's the second habit we can explore?
Building on that idea of reaching out, our second powerful habit takes us a little further afield. This habit is all about stepping out and joining a group centered around something you enjoy or something you've always wanted to try.
That can sound a bit daunting for some, especially if you've been feeling a bit isolated or if you're naturally a more introverted person. Taking that first step can feel like a big one.
I understand that completely, Serena. The anticipation is often far worse than the reality. But think about it. What are your passions? What makes your eyes light up? Maybe it's reading, gardening, playing cards, history, art. It's never too late to learn something new. Chances are, there are others in your community who share those interests.
So where might people find these kinds of groups?
Many towns and cities have senior centers offering a host of activities, from gentle exercise like Tai Chi to book clubs and craft groups. Don't dismiss them until you've seen what's on offer. Libraries are wonderful hubs too, often hosting discussion groups or workshops. Community colleges might have continuing education classes. And don't forget, local churches, community halls, or even notice boards in coffee shops for things like walking groups or knitting circles.
That's quite a variety. It sounds like there's something for almost everyone.
There usually is. And the beauty of joining a group based on a shared interest is that you already have something in common. That initial awkwardness is much easier to overcome when you can immediately start talking about the activity. Friendships often blossom naturally from that shared experience.
That makes sense. The activity itself is a bridge.
Precisely. I remember a gentleman, Arthur. After his wife passed away, he felt very adrift. His daughter encouraged him to check out a local men's shed, a community workshop. He was hesitant, but he went. He found a group of men tinkering away, sharing tools, advice, and a lot of laughter. Arthur got back to his woodworking and found a new band of brothers. His whole demeanor changed.
What a wonderful story. It really shows the impact it can have. So, for someone feeling a bit hesitant, what's a good first step?
Take a little time to think about what genuinely interests you. Then, do a little research. Online, local notice boards, ask at the library. The first step might just be an inquiry or going along to one meeting as an observer. No long-term commitment needed right away. Just dip your toe in.
That's good advice. No pressure, just exploration. So we've covered nurturing existing ties and finding new ones through shared interests. What's our third habit?
Our third powerful connecting habit is about embracing technology wisely and simply to bridge distances and even discover new communities.
Now, Daniel, I can almost hear some of our viewers thinking, "Oh, technology, that's for the grandkids," or "It all seems so complicated."
And I hear that, Serena. It can feel overwhelming. But I'm not talking about becoming a computer whiz. I'm talking about using a few simple tools that can genuinely make a difference. Think of it like learning to use a new kitchen appliance. A little learning, and then it makes things easier.
That's a good analogy. So what kind of simple tools are we talking about?
One of the most wonderful ways is through video calls. Seeing the face of a grandchild who lives across the country, watching them show you their latest drawing live, that's priceless, isn't it? Programs like FaceTime, Skype, or Zoom might sound like foreign words, but once someone shows you the basics, and grandkids are usually thrilled to teach, it's often just a click.
Oh, absolutely. It's so much more personal than a phone call. My friend Margaret, whose family moved away, says her weekly video chats are the next best thing to a hug and keep their bond incredibly strong.
That's a perfect example. And beyond family, the internet can connect you with people who share your specific interests from the comfort of your home. There are online forums and social media groups for everything imaginable. Classic films, gardening, historical societies, online book clubs.
So it's like joining a local group, but online. That could be really helpful if getting out isn't always easy.
Exactly. You can engage your mind, share your passion, and connect with others who get it. Of course, it's about using it in moderation and being savvy about online safety, not sharing too much personal information with strangers, just as you wouldn't in real life. But the potential for connection is vast.
That's a very good point about online safety. So, technology, when used thoughtfully, can be a real lifeline. What's next on our list, Daniel?
Let's move on to our fourth habit. This one has a special kind of magic because it not only fosters connection, but also fills you with a wonderful sense of purpose and value. This habit is all about finding ways to give back, to contribute your time and talents.
Oh, I like the sound of that. There's something very rewarding about feeling you're making a difference, isn't there?
There truly is. It shifts the focus from what we might be lacking to what we have to offer, and that is incredibly empowering. Volunteering is perhaps the most obvious way. Opportunities are endless. Animal shelters, schools, libraries, hospitals, museums, food banks. Think about what you enjoy, or what causes tug at your heartstrings.
It's amazing how many organizations rely on volunteers. I knew a retired accountant, George, who started volunteering at a nonprofit, helping low-income families with taxes. He loved using his skills and the camaraderie.
That's a wonderful example, Serena. He wasn't just George the retired accountant. He was George who helps people. That's a powerful shift. But giving back isn't just about formal volunteering. It can be simpler, informal acts of kindness.
Like what, for instance?
Maybe offering to babysit for a young family, or baking for a neighbor who lives alone. If you're handy, offering to help with a small repair, or simply offering a listening ear to a friend. It could also be about mentoring, sharing your lifetime of experience.
Those small acts of kindness can mean so much, and mentoring sounds like a lovely way to connect across generations.
It is. The point is, everyone has something valuable to offer. When you share these gifts, you create powerful connections, feel needed, valued, and appreciated. And those feelings are the direct opposite of loneliness.
It's a beautiful cycle. The more you give, the more connected you feel. That's truly empowering. We've covered 4 fantastic habits. What's our 5th and final one?
Our 5th and final powerful connecting habit is a little different. It's less about specific outward actions and more about an inward quality. This habit is all about cultivating curiosity and a willingness to learn and experience new things, no matter your age.
Curiosity. I like that. How does being curious help us connect?
When we remain curious, our world stays expansive and interesting. And when our world is interesting, we become more interesting, both to ourselves and to others. It keeps our minds active and naturally creates new opportunities for connection. When was the last time you learned something completely new just for fun?
That's a great question to ponder. So, this doesn't mean we have to go back to school for a degree.
Not at all. It can be as simple as picking up a book on a topic you know nothing about, or trying a new type of cuisine once a week, learning a few words in a new language with a free app, or figuring out chess or Sudoku. The act of learning itself is stimulating.
And I imagine having new things to talk about can spark conversations.
Precisely. This curiosity often leads to unexpected connections. Let's say you learn about local history, visit a historical society, and chat with someone there. Or you try a new walking path and meet another regular walker. New experiences open new conversational avenues. My aunt, in her late 70s, decided to understand the stock market. It became a new point of connection with her son.
That's a wonderful example of how a personal interest can bridge to others.
And this willingness to learn helps us stay adaptable and open-minded. It's about maintaining that beginner's mind, that sense of wonder. When you're curious, you're more likely to ask questions, listen, and engage.
So how can we actively cultivate this curiosity if it feels like it's faded a bit?
Make a little curiosity list. What are 3 things you've always wondered about? Pick one and take a tiny first step. Watch a documentary, find a YouTube tutorial, or simply take a different route on your daily walk and really notice your surroundings. It's about playfulness and exploration.
That sounds like a delightful way to keep life fresh and engaging.
It really is. So, there we have them, 5 powerful habits. Proactively nurturing existing connections, joining groups with shared interests, embracing technology wisely, finding ways to give back, and cultivating curiosity.
Those are all such practical and inspiring ideas, Daniel, and I imagine it's not about doing them all perfectly every day.
Not at all, Serena. Life has ebbs and flows. The idea is to be mindful of these avenues, to weave them into your life in a way that feels natural and enjoyable. Remember, feeling connected is so vital. Loneliness can be a heavy cloak, but it's one you don't have to wear. Small steps, taken consistently, can lead to profound changes.
It's about taking an active role in crafting a life that feels meaningful and connected.
Exactly. I truly hope these ideas have given everyone some food for thought, perhaps a little spark of inspiration. What are your experiences with feeling connected, or perhaps with moments of loneliness? Do you have any habits or tips that have worked well for you? We'd love for you to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below.
Yes, please do. It's always wonderful to learn from each other in this community.
And if you found this video helpful, if it resonated with you, please do give it a thumbs up. That little like button really helps others find our content. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to Empowered Senior Living. We share regular tips and conversations aimed at living your best, most fulfilling life at any age.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for spending this time with us. Remember, you have so much to offer, and there are so many ways to connect and find joy. Here's to staying curious, staying engaged, and staying wonderfully connected. Take good care, and we'll see you in the next video.